Okay, I'm back today again. I have not looked at this 13 Pro yet, but I'm continuing work from yesterday. Yesterday I discovered it was giving me a not normal amperage draw. When I was prompting it to boot, it was giving me small spikes, and I discovered there was two NAND shorts around NAND. I discovered there's two NAND shorts. One of them was around NAND. One of them was a capacitor right here. The other one is still to be determined. It's on my 1v2 IO line, and there's a lot of components that connect to it. So today I'm going to determine if this board is recoverable or if the partial short is within the CPU. And if it is within the CPU, if there's anything at all that could potentially be done to kind of work around the problem. I only have about an hour today, so I have to close it out in that time. Um, if I don't, I'll have to like just post an update or something like that rather than finish it. Or we'll just see what happens. It doesn't really matter. But let's see first which line it was. I'm going to bring it up on my board view software and let's just take another look at it. Okay, yeah, the 1v2 IO line here. I think the very first thing I'm going to check is if I can see any heat under my thermal cam when I inject. The first time I'll inject right here and I'll see if I see anything at NAND, or I believe this is even my EEPROM. The EEPROM is going to heat up a little bit either way, so we kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. And then if we don't see anything obvious, we should also maybe pull this shield. I'll have to check by injecting into this cap, and maybe we'll see something here. I'm not sure what I'm going to find, so let's just start. Okay, let's make the big scope. And see what we can see. I guess I'm going to bring out the thermal cam first. And I guess I'll actually reverse this camera one more time. This way you can see possibly the thermal heat signature as well. So it's a 1v2 line, and in general, with iPhone lines, you could it's generally safe to just set the voltage to whatever the line can normally handle, and you can inject with that voltage. That's not the case for every type of motherboard, but for iPhones, usually it will be okay. So I usually use the thermal cam first to like kind of get an idea of where the problem might be, and then I'll usually go in with freeze spray if it's not clear. I like to use both types of tools. Sometimes it's hard to get this thing to see clearly. Hey, loading phone in chat, how you doing? Okay, I'm gonna pull up my board view so I know what I'm looking for. The second cap on the right side is where the line is, so right here. I'll try to line up the thermal cam. Oh wow, there is a cap. That's great. It looks like there's a capacitor short. Right there, you see that heat very clearly, do you? Let's see if that's in view for you. I forgot what side. Right side. Yeah, so you can kind of see it, but it's a little bit hard to see. So I'm going to inject, or I'm going to use to see exactly which one because it's not quite clear. There might be only one choice right there, so let me double check that first. You know, there's only two caps right there. I'm just going to knock both of them off. And let's see if the line clears. That might be all it needs. Hey, Serge. Okay. So it looks like it's just one of these two capacitors. I'll just use the freeze spray just to see because I like to anyway, and it's cool to watch. So I'll switch the scope back. There's probably an easier way to do this than I'm doing it, but I don't know what that is yet. So let's put some freeze spray and see if we can see the cap more clearly. So it's right here somewhere, so let's keep an eye right there, but we'll inject into the same spot up over here. Let me turn on my other light as well. So it's a small amp draw, so it's taking a while, but let's just keep watching. It looks like it's the one closest to the edge to me because that's the only one showing a little bit of the capacitor. And there it goes. So that guy looks bad too. So hopefully that's the only other problem on this board, and then it boots and I can start to pull data from it. I actually have an air compressor and I haven't put it like in here yet. So I need to do that because I'm still using canned air. Okay, let's see if the line cleared. I sure hope it did. Yeah, now it's normal 0.27. That is awesome. So this whole board, this whole problem, this is why it's funny because like people would do a CPU swap for this. Like no, like that's without a doubt in my mind. I'm sure if somebody saw that amp draw and they didn't know what was going on, they would, and they saw these paths, they would just change this. But I didn't even have to separate this board. If I just noticed beforehand that, you know, I could have checked these caps and I probably wouldn't have noticed they were bad. It still might not be fully booting because this, I see some like of the, I just call it paint, the paint peeled back here. And that might mean that NAND is partially disconnected. And it's still actually, you know, it's not impossible that it would need a CPU transplant. That's, I mean, with high impact, those are the cases that sometimes need it. But having said all that, let's just see if it's booting, because there's a good chance that it is. And I kind of think it will be, because we already saw the Apple logo, and that should mean that it's talking to NAND enough, I believe. We saw the Apple logo yesterday when I was working on it, and this line was still partially short, I should clarify. So plug this in. And this one might be a short stream today, and I hope it is. It's Saturday after all, and I don't really want to be here. I'd like to go home to my family. So it did go dark already, which isn't good. Nope, it's still boot looping. So knowing that there was damage right there next to NAND, I'm going to have to lift up NAND and check the pads there, because it looks like there was some separation there. So bummer, it's never that easy. I hope it is most of the time. I always have the best expectations, but when it doesn't work, you just keep on working. And if this one comes down to needing a CPU transplant, that always sucks. I hope that's not the case, especially on the first live stream when I said the point's not to do that, so that would be funny. So let's check the, there's a few things I can do. I can remove NAND right away, but that might not be the smartest thing to do, because I can do like non-invasive things first. I could check the amperage draw and see if it looks normal. Last time it was almost looking normal, but it was like a higher than normal start. It was going to like 0.16 amp instead of like where it would normally be 0.13. So let's see if it looks more normal on the boot sequence, just to see, just to get a bit of information. And then I can try an update, and I can see if it's failing. I use 3U tools, and if it's failing before 24%, that usually will mean something to do with NAND. So I'll short the power button line to prompt this to boot. And see, this is 0.12. That's more normal. Yesterday, when that line was still partial short, that was a 0.16. So it was pulling extra power because of the short. I wonder, it may have still booted past that. It may have booted past it if there was not another third problem on this board, or even who knows if there's more than 3. But we've solved 2 problems, 2 shorts at NAND. This area doesn't look great, so there's a good chance I'm missing connections under NAND. I can try and update, but yeah, I think I'm just going to pull NAND. I'm going to go straight for it. That's not what I wanted to do, because that will make this a little bit longer for sure either way. Let's give it a nice visual inspection as well to make sure I don't just see anything wrong. Yeah, you know, it does no harm to check to see if it will connect to the PC and attempt an update. So I'm going to do that first after all. I don't know why I wouldn't. When it's showing the Apple logo, I would even expect recovery mode, which is better than DFU mode. It's like further along the boot process. But there's a really good chance there's something wrong here. Okay. I mean, there's also a chance that NAND is just corrupted, because it had 2 power lines short, and I'm sure it didn't like that. So that's just something to consider. Okay, let's connect it to the PC and see. Basically, I'm going to connect it, and I know it's going to be boot looping, so I'm just going to short the power button, and that might put it into recovery mode. So let's try to do that. Hey Gizmos Fix, what's up? Yeah, so these live streams, I never. They might be terrible. They might just they might be a rabbit hole. But I just have to see, I guess. This is how I normally work. That's all I'm really showing is my normal process. And right now, I try not to work on the weekends, and I started this Friday night, so it's not really a great example to show because sometimes I do take multiple days, but most of the time I'll finish everything in one session. Adding power now should definitely not do any harm because it's a pretty normal boot sequence at this point. It might even be possible to just add pressure to NAND. This is a 13 after all. It doesn't need anything else than what it has. I'm gonna add a little pressure to NAND when I'm having this one boot and just see if there's any difference or not. I'm not going to put much, just a little bit. But let's see if that helps at all. Yeah, I'm not done with this phone. It's still, so I'm very much the type of person that will continue to work on the same phone until I either know it can't be recovered or I mean, that's usually it. I usually like to find a reason why I can't recover it. This one still had some open ends to it. There's still a chance it could be recovered, so I'm going to explore those possibilities always. So I'm not getting an Apple logo with this clamp at all, so let's just remove this. And I'm feeling some heat too, so I think something may be short again. I'm not sure what's at fault yet. I almost never know what's wrong with these phones. I just see what's wrong. I just check everything I can think of. Right now, I feel like something reshorted because I felt heat that I didn't feel the first time. I'm not sure what happened. And I didn't see an Apple logo this time. So let's check those power rails that we just cleared first. Okay, well those are all normal still, so that's good. Let's check the boot sequence again and see if that still looks normal. And if it does, I'll just try it again without the clamp because I'm not quite sure. Maybe that was what it didn't like. Yeah, this looks more normal, so I'm not sure what happened that first time. Let's just do it without the clamp and do the first idea I had and just try to get it into recovery mode. The only other difference I could think of is maybe it doesn't like a PC USB, and I can also take that into consideration. I've never really seen that before, so I don't think that would be the case. I just think of things all the time. Okay, Apple logo this time. And just looping like it was last time, so that's fine. Let's see if I can just hold the the power button and get it to go into recovery mode. Oh geez. I'm gonna have to turn this around, I think. I always kind of hate having to do this with the 13 because it's the only one that the cable really gets in the way, but you can still kind of do it. It's just a little harder. And this is a new setup for me, so my PC is a little further than I would like it to be. Okay, let's see if I can do this a little better this time. Let's make sure it's still looping. It is. I'll turn on the volume so I can hear when the PC connects. And I'm just gonna hold this power button for like as long as up to like 30 seconds probably. Okay, so we connected. It's in recovery mode. Without NAND connected, I don't think it normally goes to recovery mode, but if it's partially connected, it might, so I'm not quite sure about that. So I'm going to see what happens when I do an update. I always do an iTunes flash and always make sure retain user data is checked. So we'll just wait for this to go through. There's some small chance it can just go through. I've been surprised before and it just works. It's not likely it will. I'm just trying to see like where it fails at and if I can get any information from the failure point. Yeah, if you're ever getting like a boot looping Apple logo, a repeating Apple logo, it's almost always going to go to recovery mode. And then if you're ever getting a brain dead phone where you're getting like a 0.06 amp draw or like from anywhere from 0.01 to 0.12 where the power rails are turning on but there's no Apple logo, that will almost always go to DFU mode but not recovery mode. I don't know for sure the CPU is not at fault. It could be, still like a single disconnected pad underneath the CPU that goes directly to NAND. Something like that is still absolutely possible. I use those assumptions as like my very last ditch efforts. I make other assumptions before I'll make those. So I have an Apple logo right now. Now I have a Apple logo on the loading bar, but it hasn't started yet. At 24%, past 24%, the loading bar will usually start. So right now is like a pretty pivotal checkpoint. If it fails, it's most likely going to fail now. And if it gets past it, it will be a little bit more unique. If it fails later on, that is. So error 9 was probably the worst thing I could have seen, because error 9 could very possibly be data corruption, especially knowing that I had 2 shorted power rails and one of them partially short. You know, that could have messed up NAND somehow. But because this almost confirms to me that it's related to NAND, I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, it could still, you know what, error 9 could absolutely be CPU as well. So that kind of sucks. Having these types of errors on smashed phones is really, really annoying, because it could be NAND, it could be CPU, or it could be data corruption, and you don't really know until you try each one of those things. I don't really think it's NAND, otherwise I feel like I'd get 4014, but I'm going to pull it up anyway. And especially knowing that those lines were short, it really, really makes me want to think it's data corruption, but I really can't just make that assumption. I at least need to pull NAND up and check those pads. If NAND looks fine, I can probably assume CPU's fine. Maybe I'll try like a clamp or something like that. But if neither of that works, I kind of have to assume that the shorts on NAND corrupted the data. So let's pull NAND first and see how it looks, and then I'll reball it and put it back and see if we're still getting error 9. It's not the funnest thing to do, because there's little hope that it will work, but it's to me it's necessary. So that's the plan for right now. I'll work as quickly as I can, because I just want this done. Okay, step 1, I'll remove the underfill along the sides, and then I'll just pull it up, and then I'm going to reball it. And you know what? I don't even, my stencils are somewhere here, but I haven't had to reball NAND yet since I've been at this office. I've only been here not very long, and I don't know where that is. I'm sure it's right around here somewhere, but it might take a moment to find it. What's up? You know, I've never known how to say your name. It's Isaias. But what's up, man? I know you're great. I'll be very happy if it turns out to be NAND. And there is some chance because it doesn't look great. There's definitely some damage along this corner. So I'm not hopeless, but I could be more hopeful, I guess. I just don't like error 9 specifically. That can also be like EEPROM related. There's a potential it could be RAM related. It's just extremely vague, and it could be data corruption, which makes everything even worse. You could be doing everything for nothing. And if it wasn't for these shorts, I would be a lot more hopeful. But like especially like even a full short is a lot better than that partial short, because I just don't really know what happens like if it gets partial voltage like that, if it really messes things up or not. Yeah, the gizmos, the iPhone 13 is not on there, but the iPhone 12 NAND is exactly the same, so it's actually like it's not that hard. Just reference the iPhone 12 NAND and then click on the pads for the iPhone 13, and you can figure out what everything is very easily that way. I do that a lot with newer iPhones, and they're using the same chips, but there's no like net names. I'll just go check the old models, and you get a lot of information that way. I'm at 365 and 75 air, and it could be hotter. It probably could be colder too. It's just how you do it. The 13 NAND can be a little sticky sometimes, and I kind of have to put extra heat because if I have loose pads, they're going to rip easily if I don't use enough heat. So I'm really not going to force it, but I'll try to feel when it starts to feel loose. It should be getting loose now. So it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look that bad. And to me, it doesn't look bad enough that that would have caused any problems. I used a bit more heat than I would have liked on here, so let me double check the other side. Hopefully there's no problem. Well, that's terrible to see because I did overheat it a bit. And honestly though, these 13 PMICs are pretty freaking tough, and it can survive. But oh god, that was terrible. I really didn't want to pull pads on the NAND, so I used more heat than I normally would have, but I think I used a bit much. So unfortunately, now I have to probably make the decision to do either a full CPU swap just to see if it's not data corruption. And I guess I just have to. I mean, I don't have much of a choice. If I didn't do this, I mean, I can see if I'm getting error 4014 first. It's worth it to do that, but This is a bit of a annoying thing, and I'm gonna have to do a full CPU transplant now, and there's a great chance it's just data corruption either way, so I don't really like to see this right now. If that didn't come from the CPU, then we still have a good chance that the CPU is not damaged, but it's hard to tell. I mean, maybe. If I get, I'm going to do an update right now, and if I get error 4014, then I might be normal enough. Like I said, these things are actually pretty freaking hardy, the 13 PMICs. But I knew when I saw this heating too much and this moving and this still not up, that maybe that was a bit too much heat. I did keep heat to this side though, which is away from CPU, which is at least something. I'm gonna blame it on my new setting, like my new surroundings. I haven't done much soldering here yet. And always working with NAND when there's stuff directly behind it is a little risky, but usually it's not too big of a problem. I mean, sometimes things happen. And on these streams, things like this I'm sure are gonna happen often. And I guess you'll see how I deal with them. I get a bit annoyed and then I just keep working, which is honestly the only thing I can really do. So I'll just make a decision once I do an update about what my next plan should be. Okay. So I kind of think it's, while that looked kind of bad, you know, I've seen about that bad before and it still was okay. So, you know, I kind of think it's going to take an update first, or I mean still, or get to the same step I should stay. Or even, so without NAND, it should get error 4014, and that's what I really want to check. But let's see what the amperage draw looks like now, and if it's telling me I have a short, or if the power rails are still turning on. Because with NAND off, I should have power rails still turning on, unless I have a problem with my PMIC or my CPU. So I don't have a short right away, which is good, but I'm not out of clear yet. I should see anything from 0.01 to like 0.08 is what I would expect. I don't quite know, honestly. Try that again. So it's not good. This probably means I have a short on the board if it's not prompting all the way. Yeah, so I have a short on the board again. So let's just see if we can find it real quick. I mean, it might even be one of these solder balls still. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get all of these solder balls. There's a chance. More likely, PMIC needs to be changed. I at least, I want to get it to a point where I'm satisfied that this overheating did nothing. It sucks because of the error 9. I really wish I had any other problem so I had more motivation to try this further. It's just I know there's a great chance that this one's not going to go, but I really hate to leave things unsure. Like it's not what I do usually. Okay, first I'm just going to measure all the capacitors and see if anything looks abnormal. And then if I do find a short, I'm going to inject into that short and see if it's going to the CPU or the PMIC. Here. So this one I think is short already, but let me just see. This is PPGPU, I believe, and that's always going to be like that. This is normal. The rest of these are normal. I'm concerned about this first one, so I'll come back and check that, but let me check the rest of these first. Some of these are low resistance lines and the beeping's normal. I'm not really going over the lines, I'm just trying to check these as quickly as I can. I have a good guess about which one should be doing what. Okay, I guess just a couple more. Okay, so it's this first one. Okay, I'm glad to see only one line. That's a lot easier to figure out what's wrong. All right, so I was ignoring chat because I messed up, so let me see what you guys are saying. All right, not too much. Forefront, what's up, man? Oh my God, that's the oldest school friends right there. I don't Mars Angst. I don't know who that is though. Okay, so I have this guy's short. This is hard to figure out because I don't have names. This is a time where I wish I would have a name because I don't have a good indication. And it looks like it's either PMIC or CPU, and that's probably it. There's some chances over here, but I didn't heat this area much, so that's probably not anything. Okay, so let's see. Oh, sorry, you're not looking at what I'm looking at. Oh, what's up, Mitch? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, so this is the capacitor. It's only going to PMIC, CPU, and to these capacitors over here, and these ones I'm sure are not damaged. So it's either this one or this one, and it's probably CPU. It could probably be safe to assume this is like a 0.6 or a 0.7 voltage line. So I'm gonna inject 0.6 volts into here and see if we can see any heat at all through my thermal cam. I guess I'll just try free spray first. So I'll bring this down to 0.6. And the line is on the right side. So let's see how much it takes first. That's my multimeter. So it's taking quite a bit of voltage, or amperage I'm saying, so I should be able to see heat, which is at least a good sign. We can see where it's going. So let's free spray this and see where the heat's going. I think there's a solder ball. Let's see if that's ground. Yep, that's ground. Oh God, thank you. Okay, so we have a solder bridge right there that's causing the problem. There we go. Okay, I think the line will be clear. Yeah, now it's 0.09, which is probably normal. I don't know what that should normally read. We don't have values for it, but it's not full short like it was. Great. Now let's check the amperage draw again to see what it looks like when I prompt to boot. Gizmos. I removed the NAND on the iPhone 13 and had to replace the PMIC due to solder balls. If heat is on the PMIC when UI, then you know it is. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying. But yeah, okay, so it was a solder ball too, though. Well, thanks for saying that, Serge. You make me feel better that I'm not the only one, because that's annoying. I'm pretty sure I didn't mess up CPU at least, because I was heating over on this side like too much. That solder ball is gone. Let's see if we have a normal looking amperage draw again. Okay, so now that the short is gone, but NAND, remember NAND is still off. So NAND is off, short is gone. I should get what I expected the first time, which is some small amperage draw. So let's see if that's what I'm getting or not. Much better, much better, 0.06. So, okay. We dodged a bullet, very, very lucky. That's a normal looking amperage draw with NAND off the board. So I got lucky. Maybe a half second longer of heat, I probably would have really damaged this. But I'm pretty sure this is fine. Like I said, these are pretty hardy. I've done that before and it survived, and it looks like it was just a solder ball that was really taking me down still. So now I'm going to do an update, and I want to see if I get error 4014 or look, here's another one. Look, I think this is the same line though. I gotta really examine this, make sure I have no solder balls. I don't even know how to get this out. I'll try to blow it out, I guess. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to make sure that's the same line, and if it is, I'm going to leave it. It is. It's all the same line. I don't care about that. Okay, but you can see there's another bridge right there that could be causing a problem if it was in a different spot, but because that's the same line, it's not causing a problem. I don't even know where that went. Okay, but I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic again. I'll connect this again. It should go to, honestly, I don't remember DFU or recovery. It should go to recovery. It should go to recovery. I think, I don't know. We'll see. I never remember. I think it should go to DFU. What's up, Paul? Glad you made it too. Ran into some problems, but working through them. So if I just connect this to PC with no NAND, there may even be a chance it just connects on its own. It might just go to DFU mode. Good chance of that, actually. Am I connected? Yeah, I'm in DFU mode. Okay, my volume was down, so it didn't chime. So DFU mode. So let's see what error I get. I mean, I expect to get the error you get when NAND's off the board, which is 4014. Apple logo. So what do you guys think if you watched, I mean, I don't know how many people watched this whole, oh, there is a tab to remove the infinity screen. Cool, Gizmos. I really don't know much about streaming. I'm going to do a lot wrong until I get things set up. But 4014 is normal with NAND off the board. With NAND on the board, it was getting further. It was getting to error 9. It really, really looks like data corruption to me. What do you guys think? If you watched this whole video and you saw what I was doing and you saw the shorted lines from yesterday, like, does it look like data corruption to you? To me, this looks a whole lot like data corruption. There's not much that points to CPU at this point to me. It looks like, you know, a problem with NAND. NAND's off the board. It's giving me the problem that it has when NAND's off the board. You put NAND on the board, it gives it the data corruption error, and that looks like data corruption. So I'm going to think about this. I'll see if there's any possibility at all that I want to do a CPU swap, but honestly, I don't think I do. I think this one's just going to be unsuccessful, and that NAND line was always partially shorted. It had two shorts. It had, let's see what lines it was. So I'll pull it up and we can see. I have to compare it to the 12 because again we don't have the 13 board view. But this line was short. Was it this one? It was. It was this line and this line. These two lines were short. So this line is, I think, my 2v63 line. You can tell because it's ground, ground, red, and then opposite, ground, red. And if we go over here, it is ground, ground, red, opposite, ground, red. And that's 2v6 NAND. So this line was short, and this line was full short. And it was at, I think, this capacitor, or this capacitor actually. And everyone's seen, this is the 2v6 NAND line, or it used to be the 3v0 NAND line, and everybody's seen that line short before. And you know, you remove that shorted line or capacitor on that line and it almost always boots and you get data. The problem was that I had, you know, the more I'm thinking about this, so the other one was the 1v2 line, which is right here, 1v2 IO. You can tell because it's ground, ground, and then red, red, red. And same thing, ground, ground, red, red, red. So this is my 1v2 line. And the 1v2 line, it powers NAND, powers EEPROM, which is even more important. You know, and it goes to the SOC, CPU, RAM, whatever it does. I don't know, CPU, I guess. This was only partial short. If it was full short, it may have been okay. But because it was partial short and it's also the power to the EEPROM, it probably scrambled the EEPROM data, and that's probably what corrupted and what's preventing me from getting data. So that's my best summary of what has happened. I don't think there was anything I could have done differently to pull data from this phone. When I got this phone, these two lines were short. One was partial short, the other one was full short. Um, that's just what the problem was. Let me see. Put other NAND to be sure. In my opinion, I could do that. Um, I've never even fully done that before. What does that do, Richard? Does that like it will go through the full process and then not let me activate or something like that? I could definitely try that. The problem is I think I have 41 jobs in line right now, and I'm already like 8 or 9 days past my quoted time frame. So I need to work quickly, and I'm not really doing that right now. So a problem like this, it's hard for me to spend any more time on it because I'm so behind on work, and it's because I moved. But once I catch up, I'm gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be so behind. I can spend more time on harder jobs. But yeah, for now I'm gonna have to put this to the side, and that is a great idea. I can try to do the NAND and see if it fully is the problem. And I probably will. It's just that I'm going to have to put it to the side and email the customer and tell them it's going into the longer wait list because I just don't have time, unfortunately, to keep working on this. I do have my family, and I have a new baby coming in about 6 weeks, and we have a lot going on with my house right now. We're about to buy a new house because we're having problems with our landlord's renting and all that. So there's a ton going on. I just need to work and I need to make money, and I'm going to let you guys watch, and hopefully. This was a terrible first stream, so I do apologize for this. This was a terrible case. I should have chose water damage because water damage is 99% successful. That's what I built my knowledge on. Smashed phones, there's a chance that something more severe went wrong more often. So I should have started with the water damage phone. But anyways, I'm most likely not going to thanks Richard, for the congratulations. Yeah, I'm having a boy this time, so I'm really excited about it. Sorry about this camera. You guys were watching me talk to nothing. Let's bring up big face. Yeah, so I got a lot going on, and I just need to work quickly. So yeah, so sorry this was my first case. I'm just, I'm going to choose whatever comes up in queue. That's likely what I'm going to be working on. I don't usually even open up the box before I start working on the device. So sometimes the jobs will be really easy. Sometimes they might be a rabbit hole. Sometimes they're going to be just like normal jobs. So hopefully they're mostly just normal jobs, but who knows what's going to happen. If I work tomorrow, I might stream, but I would like to spend time with my family right now. So I will probably see you guys again on Monday. But thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.